Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Do you have anybody there?
No, I'm all by myself.
Okay.
So you're welcome to chant.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Purnamansa Pariprajapacharya Stota Satashri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Jayādvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamana Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.
Welcome everybody to Caitanya Caritamrita with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Thursday, July 3rd, 2025, and today we're starting with Adi-lila 1433. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
I can read.
Okay.
Oh, could you bring that conceal from my desk? You know, that little white blue thing. Atmalukaite Prabhu Bolila Tahare Age Kena Iha Mata Nashikale Mode. The Lord replied to his mother, "Why did you conceal self-realization by not teaching me this practical philosophy in the beginning?" Om-Gnana-Timirandasya Gyananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stavitam Jena Tale Swayam Rupakadam Mahisham Dadavati Shapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrashatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lolita Shri Vishakam Vitamstra He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vancha Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Pyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the background here is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was discovered by his mother to be eating earth. And when she said, "This is, what are you doing? What are you doing?" He said, "Well, there's no difference between earth and sweetmeats. Everything is one." So he was speaking Mayavad philosophy, but his mother instructed him that no, if you eat earth in the form of sweetmeats, then you get nourished. If you eat earth in the form of dirt, then you become weak and diseased. If I take earth in the form of a pitcher, I can bring water. But if I just put water on a brick of earth, there's no good result. So now the Lord replies, "Well, why didn't you tell me about this before?" Purport: if from the beginning of life one is taught the Vaishnava philosophy of duality or variety, the monistic philosophy will not bother him very much. The problem is that from the beginning, where we hear this Mayavad philosophy and personal philosophy, we think this all makes sense. And then to get rid of it later becomes problematic. But from the very beginning, we hear this practical knowledge that there's oneness, but there's difference. Then the monistic philosophy, Kevaladvaita, won't bother us very much. In reality, everything is an emanation from the Supreme Source, Chanmadyasya Yataha. The original energy is exhibited in varieties, exactly as the sunshine. The original energy emanating from the sun exhibits itself in variety as light and heat. One cannot say that light is heat or that heat is light, yet one cannot separate one from the other. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy is Achintya Bhedabhed, inconceivable separation and non-separation and distinction. Although there's an affinity between the two physical manifestations, light and heat, there's also a difference between them. Similarly, although the whole cosmic manifestation is the Lord's energy, the energy is nevertheless exhibited in varieties of manifestations. So this is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching in a nutshell regarding the nature of the absolute. The absolute truth has inconceivable, multifarious energies. Parasya Shakti Vivide Vividhaiva Shriyate Svabhava Gigana Palakriyacha. So this solves the problem. The monistic philosophy just gets stuck on this. If everything is one, where do we get these varieties? Why do we see these persistent varieties? Not only see them, we every day have to deal with so many varieties. But if everything was one, why should that be? And the answer that, well, it's because the varieties are all illusion. Doesn't help, because then you still have duality, you have truth and illusion. And then you have to explain where the illusion comes from, and we're back where we started. This is the Achilles heel of Mayavad philosophy, which Vaishnava philosophy just doesn't have to deal with. So we don't have to worry about how could there be variety if everything is one. Krishna is one, but he has innumerable energies. And so we have variety. Okay.
Nothing in the chat.
Okay, we can carry on unless there's other comments. Okay. Ebise Janila ar Martina Kaiba Shuta Lage Jove Tobe Tomar Stana Pibo. Now that I can understand this philosophy, no more shall I eat dirt. Whenever I'm hungry, I shall suck your breast and drink your breast milk. Eta boli dronanir golete charia stanapana kore prabhu ishad hasya. After saying this, the Lord, smiling slightly, climbed up on the lap of his mother and sucked her breast. E mote nana chole aishwarya dekai balya bhava prakritiya paschat lukai. Thus, under various excuses, the Lord exhibited his opulences as much as possible in his childhood, and later, after exhibiting such opulences, he hid himself. So, this is the action of Yogamaya. The Yogamaya, by Yogamaya, the Lord is revealed and also concealed. So sometimes, as I said here, under various excuses, the Lord's opulence was manifested, Aishwarya. You're going mad out there with silence. Hmm? I don't know how much difference it'll make. It'll be okay. So his opulences were manifested and then later hidden, because after all, he's a child. So for his childhood pastimes to be appreciated, he can't always be showing opulences. The opulences appear from time to time, and then they're hidden up. Just like Yashoda Mai, she's looking in Krishna's mouth, she's seeing all the universes, and then Yogamaya comes and then covers her, and she says, all right, stop that. No more eating earth. It's a parallel pastime, of course, that as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was eating earth here, Krishna was also caught eating earth. Or in that instance, the Yashoda Mai was seeing such wonderful things in Krishna's mouth, and then thinking, oh, what is this nonsense? Stop this. So this is Yogamaya. Atiti vipir anna kaila din par. Pache gupte she bipre gorila nishtar. On one occasion, the Lord ate the food of a Brahmin guest 3 times. And later, in confidence, the Lord delivered that Brahmin from material engagement. Purport: the story of the deliverance of this Brahmin is as follows. A Brahmin who was touring all over the country, traveling from one place of pilgrimage to another, reached Navdeep and became a guest in the house of Jagannath Mishra. Jagannath Mishra gave him all ingredients for cooking, and the Brahmin prepared his food. So this is a system that the very strict Brahmins know you can't cook for them. They'll cook for themselves. You just provide the ingredients, and they'll do the cooking. And they'll offer to their deity, they'll offer to the Lord, and in that way, they'll accept a meal at your house. So Jagannath Mishra gave him the ingredients, he cooked his food. When the Brahmin was offering the food to Lord Vishnu in meditation, child Nimai came before him and began to eat it. And because of this, the Brahmin thought the whole offering had been spoiled. You cook something very nicely, you put it before the deity, and then some kid comes and starts crawling around and taking something off the deity's plate. Whole offering spoiled. So that's what happened. So by the request of Jagannath Mishra, the Brahmin cooked for a second time. But when he was meditating, that means offering the food to Lord Vishnu in meditation, the child again came before him and began to eat the food, again spoiling the offering. When Prabhupada tells this in teachings of Lord Chaitanya, we hear that the Brahmin was going to call it quits, but Jagannath Mishra prevailed upon him. By the request of Jagannath Mishra, the Brahmin cooked for a third time. But for a third time, the Lord came before him and began to eat the food, although the child had been locked within a room and everyone was sleeping because it was late at night. So that was the request. I'll lock the boy in a room, don't worry. But even though locked in the room, somehow he came and began to eat the food. Thus thinking that on that day, Lord Vishnu was not willing to accept his food and that he was therefore ordained to fast, the Brahmin became greatly agitated and cried aloud, "Hi, what has been done? What has been done?" When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the Brahmin in that agitated state, he told him, "Formerly I was the son of Mother Yashoda. At that time also you became a guest in the house of Nanda Maharaj, and I disturbed you in this way. I am very much pleased by your devotion. Therefore, I'm eating the food you've prepared." Elsewhere, where Prabhupada tells the story, the child says, "Well, you're inviting me. Why are you unhappy that I'm eating the food? You're meditating, you're asking me to come eat. Now when I eat, you're upset." So this is the explanation. Understanding the favor offered to him by the Lord, the Brahmin was greatly pleased, and he was overwhelmed with love of Krishna. He was thankful to the Lord, for he felt himself greatly fortunate. Then the Lord asked the Brahmin not to disclose the incident to anyone else. This pastime is very elaborately explained in the Chaitanya Bhagavata in Adi-lila, chapter 5. So it must have been explained to someone because disclosed to someone because it's detailed in Chaitanya Bhagavata. And this also follows the plan of this book. Kaviraj Goswami says that what Vrindavan Das Thakur has described, I'm not going to just repeat. So I'm just touching on those things, respecting that Vrindavan Das Thakur has explained them in detail. So no need of, again, explaining the same thing. So this is just a brief synopsis. And in fact, the whole Adi-lila is like that. It's only briefly touching upon pastimes of the Lord that Vrindavan Das Thakur has explained more elaborately. And there's a hand up there from Sarshati.
Pranams Parampacha Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. I'm reminded of another pastime where one of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associate, Govinda Ghosh, he had his little deity, Gopinath deity, and when he had to go out of town or something, he had his son, I think his name was Gaurachandra, offer bhoga to the deity. And when the little boy did, he was waiting and waiting for the deity to eat the actual bhoga, and he was very upset that the deity Gopinath wasn't eating. And then pleased with his emotions, Gopinath deity actually ate a portion of that bhoga, but told him not to tell anyone that he had, come and actually eaten this bhoga. But after Gaurachandra's mother was asking him, where is the remaining bhoga? Where did it go? So in the end, he had to tell his mother the truth. And Gopinath had warned him that if you did tell someone, then he'd have to give up that body. And the son did die, if I recall correctly, but it sort of runs parallel to what we've been reading here. Oh, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, there are many such histories in which the deity performs pastimes of that nature. Chori la gela prabhu ke bahire paya tarsh kande chari aila tare pulaya. In his childhood, the Lord was taken away by two thieves outside his home. The Lord, however, got up on the shoulders of the thieves, and while they were thinking they were safely carrying the child to rob his ornaments, the Lord misled them. And thus, instead of going back to their own home, the thieves came back to the home of Jagannath Mishra. Purport. In his childhood, the Lord was profusely decorated with gold ornaments. Once upon a time, when the Lord was playing outside his house, two thieves passing on the street saw the opportunity to rob him. Therefore, they took him on their shoulders, pleasing him by offering him some sweetmeats. The thieves thought they would carry the child to the forest and then kill him and take away the ornaments. The Lord, however, expanded his illusory energy upon the thieves, so much so that instead of carrying him to the forest, they came right back in front of his house. When they came before his house, they became afraid because everyone from the house of Jagannath Mishra and all the inhabitants of that quarter were busy searching for the child. Therefore, the thieves, thinking it dangerous to remain, went away and left him. The child was brought within the house and given to Mother Shachi, who was in great anxiety, and she became satisfied. This incident is also very elaborately explained in the Adi Kanda of Chaitanya Bhagavat, 3rd chapter. I remember Srila Prabhupada told this story one time at 26 2nd Avenue, and someone asked, Swamiji, those thieves, were they liberated souls? And Srila Prabhupada said, at least after they carried Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord enjoyed the pastime. They offered him sweetmeats. They gave him a ride around. And at least afterwards, they were liberated souls. Vyadi Chole, Jogodisha, Hironya Shodane, Vishnu Naivedya Kaila, Ekadashi Dine. Pretending to be sick, the Lord asked some food from the house of Hiranya and Jagadisha on the Ekadashi day. Purport: the Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi-kanda, chapter 6, fully describes the Lord's accepting Vishnu Prasadam on the Ekadashi day at the house of Jagadish and Hiranya. Regular prasadam is offered to Lord Vishnu on Ekadashi because although fasting is recommended for devotees on Ekadashi, it's not recommended for Lord Vishnu. Once on Ekadashi, in the house of Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit, there were arrangements for preparing special prasadam for Lord Vishnu. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked his father to go there to ask for the Vishnu prasadam because he was feeling sick. The house of Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit was situated about 2 miles from the house of Jagannath Mishra. Therefore, when Jagannath Mishra, at the request of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, came to ask Jagadish and Hiranya for the prasadam, they were a little astonished. How could the boy understand that special prasadam was being prepared for Lord Vishnu? They immediately concluded that Nimai must have supernatural mystic power. Otherwise, how could he understand that they were preparing special prasadam? Therefore, they immediately sent the food to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through his father, Jagannath Mishra. Nimai was feeling sick, but immediately after eating the Vishnu prasadam, he was cured, and he also distributed the prasadam among his playmates. These are all enjoyable childhood activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shishu Shab Loy Para, Shishu Shab Loy Para, Parai Shira Kore, Churi Kori, Rabya Kai, Mare Bala Kere. As usual for small children, he learned to play, and with his playmates he went to the houses of neighboring friends, stealing their eatables and eating them. Sometimes the children fought among themselves. Shushu Shab Shachi Stane, Kaila Nivedon, Shuni Shachi Putre Kichu, Dila Ulahon. All the children lodged complaints with Sachimata about the Lord's fighting with them and stealing from the neighbors' houses. Therefore, sometimes she used to chastise or rebuke her son. Kene churi koro, kene mara ho shishure, kene pora kore jaha, kiba nahi kore. Why do you steal others' things? Why do you beat the other children? And why do you go inside others' houses? What do you not have in your own home, your own house? Purport. According to the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasayata, since creation, maintenance, and annihilation exist in the Supreme Absolute, whatever we find within this material world is already in the spiritual world. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. How is he stealing? And how is he fighting? It is not as a thief or an enemy, but as a friend and loving condition. He steals as a child, not because he's in want, but out of a natural instinct. in this material world also. Small children without enmity or bad will sometimes go to a neighboring house and steal, and sometimes they fight. Krishna also, like other children, did all these things in his childhood. Without the existence of the stealing propensity and fighting propensity in the spiritual world, it could not exist here in the material world. The difference between the material and spiritual worlds is that stealing in the spiritual world is done in friendship and love, whereas fighting and stealing within this material world are executed on the basis of enmity and envy. Therefore, we should understand that in the spiritual world, all these activities exist, but there's no inebriety. Whereas in the material world, all activities are full of miserable conditions. Would someone else like to read?
I need to leave soon. Punch Tafa Prabhu, are you able to read? And Saraswati Machi, are you able to take the chat in the future?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure, I can read. Text 43. Shrini Krudha Haya Prabhu Garbhitarya Ghariyata Bhanda Chila Belila Bangya. Thus rebuked by his mother, the Lord would go in anger to a room and break all the pots within it. Tabe Sachi Kole Kari Koraila Santosh Lojjita Ila Prabhu Janini Jadosh. Then Sachimata would take her son on her lap and pacify him, and the Lord would be very much ashamed, admitting his faults. Purport. There is a nice description of the faults of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu in his childhood in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Adikanda chapter 3, where it is said that as a child the Lord used to steal all kinds of eatables from the houses of neighboring friends. In some houses he would steal milk and drink it, and in others he would steal and eat prepared rice. Sometimes he would break cooking pots. If there was nothing to eat but there were small babies, the Lord would tease the babies and make them cry. Sometimes a neighbor would complain to Sachimata, "My child is very small, but your child puts water in his ears and makes him cry." Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Gurudasa Jayādvaita Swami Namane. So you read in Krishna book that Krishna, the little Krishna, is doing the same types of things. He's playing in this way too, and creating mischief. The gopis lodge a complaint against him in Krishna book. He's coming in here, he's stealing the butter, he's breaking the pots. Then he goes, that there's no light in there, but by the effulgence of his body, he's able to see what he's doing. And they're lodging a complaint, and Yashoda is ready to properly punish him, but they're saying, "Oh no, don't, you don't need to punish him after all." But while they're complaining about him, they're relishing the discussion. So that's so nice. Guru Maharaj, do you have anything to say about this?
Wonderful. This lodging of complaints is just a pretext for glorifying Krishna. They're relishing the pastimes of Krishna. He does this, he does this, he does this, he does this. So it appears in the form of complaints, but it's relishing. Hare Krishna.
Should I go on? Prabhu mridu haste koila matake tadan matake mochita deki koriye krandan. Once the child Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised his mother with his soft hand, and his mother pretended to faint. Seeing this, the Lord began to cry. Narigana kahe narikela deha ani tabe shushta haibain tumara janani. The neighboring ladies told him, "Dear child, please bring a coconut from somewhere, and then your mother will be cured." Bahira ya anilena duinare kela, egia purva haila vismita sakala. He then went outside the house and immediately brought 2 coconuts. All the ladies were astonished to see such wonderful activities. Now I may be reading between the lines here, but he went outside to get 2 coconuts. Unless the coconuts were on the ground or something, how is this little child getting the coconuts? So maybe that's the inner meaning here. I don't know. Maybe it's the implied meaning. But chastising his mother with his soft hand, was he like, doing like that? Was he saying like this? Sometimes
Chastise in the old original meaning means like to hit, to slap.
get a little tap or something. How much is he able to, as a little child? His slap isn't much of anything, But there, and so Mother Yashoda plays along. Excuse me, Mother Sachimata plays along and pretends to faint, and then the ladies get involved in the fun and tell Nimai that he has to get a couple of coconuts, and this way he'll be able to revive his mother. And he goes outside and he's able to get them somehow or other. Kabusishu sange snan karilas gangate kanyagan aila tahan devata pujite. Sometimes the Lord would go with other children to bathe in the Ganges, and the neighboring girls would also come there to worship various demigods. Purport. According to the Vedic system, when small girls 10 or 12 years old would go to the bank of the Ganges to take their bath, they would especially worship Lord Shiva with prayers to get good husbands in the future. They especially wanted to get a husband like Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva is very peaceful and at the same time most powerful. Formerly, therefore, small girls in Hindu families would worship Lord Shiva, especially in the month of Vaishakha, April, May. To take a bath in the Ganges is a great pleasure for everyone, not only for adults, but for children also. So this, again, parallels with the gopis worshiping, in their case, Caitanya, to get a suitable husband. They're worshiping Lord Shiva here with that idea. From a young age, the girls are thinking, I would like to get a good husband. This is a kind of emblematic of a very close family life. They're seeing the nice examples of their parents and their other family members, and they're thinking, yes, when I grow up, I would like to be like that. That is very nice. So that is being reflected here. And trips to the Ganges. Anyone who's had the pleasure of taking bath in the Ganges knows that it's exactly that. And of course, they are going in April and May. By that time, at least in Mayapur, the weather is getting quite warm. So even from a seemingly mundane consideration, it's very pleasurable. But it's always pleasurable to take bath in the Ganges. And just as maybe a digression, this practice of keeping clean is the sign of very cultured people. It's a matter of taking bath. Prabhupada gives the example that a cultured person, a proper person, will take bath even if the weather is inclement or the water is cold, because the principle of cleanliness supersedes all other considerations. That's all I have. Gurudev, would you like to say something?
No, that's fine.
Would anyone else like to read? Mother Saraswati?
Oh, yes, I just wanted to actually share that this worshipping Lord Shiva to get good husbands. They're saying ages 10 to 12. My mother had us start at age 5, and it was very, very difficult, this fasting that we had to do. And I always used to protest, saying, well, I don't want to get married, so why should I be even doing this goiro, they used to call it. And for years, although I used to do it begrudgingly, it wasn't until I took it sort of seriously when my grandmother said, all right, you don't want to get married, fair enough, but Lord Shiva, he is the greatest Vaishnava, so how about you worship him in order for him to help you to become a good devotee and please Krishna. So it was then that I sort of thought, okay, I can get on board with that. Hare Krishna. So I can read text 49.
Yes, please.
Ganga snana kari puja karita lagila, Kanya gana madhya prabhu ashiya basila. When the girls engaged in worshipping the different demigods after bathing in the Ganges, the young lord would come there and sit down among them. Text 50. Kanyare kahe ama puja ami dipavara, Ganga Durga dasi mora mahesha kinkara. Translation. Addressing the girls, the Lord would say, worship me, and I shall give you good husbands or good benedictions. The Ganges and goddess Durga are my maidservants. What to speak of other demigods? Even Lord Shiva is my servant. Purport. There is a misconception.
Sorry. Oops. Sorry, my fault. Sorry. Pardon me.
Purport. There is a misconception about the Hindu religion among people who profess other religions, such as Christians and Muslims, who say that in the Hindu religion there are many gods. Actually, that is not a fact. God is one, but there are many other powerful living entities who are in charge of different departments of administration. They are called demigods. All the demigods are servants who carry out the orders of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disclosed this fact in his childhood. Out of ignorance, sometimes people worship the demigods to receive some particular boon, but actually one who becomes a devotee and worshipper of the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not need to go to the demigods for any benediction, because he obtains everything by the grace of the Supreme Lord. The Bhagavad Gita 7:20 and 28 therefore condemns such demigod worship. Kamestestahirite jana gnana prapadyante nya devata tam niyamam astaya prakritya niyata swaya. Only persons whose intelligence is lost and who are mad with lusty desires worship the demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Yesham tvavantagatam papam gnananam punya karmanam tedvan mohanir mukta bhajanti mam dradvrata. But persons who are freed from all sinful activities and the duality of delusion engage themselves in the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with determination. Only the less intelligent worship the demigods for their various purposes. The most intelligent worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Sometimes we, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, are accused of not approving of the worship of demigods. But how can we approve of this when it is condemned by Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna? How can we allow people to become foolish and krita gnana, bereft of intelligence? Our propaganda is simply meant to enable intelligent people to understand the distinction between matter and spirit and understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the whole spiritual identity. That is our mission. How could we mislead people into worshipping so-called gods in material bodies within this material world? Our position of not allowing worship of the many hundreds of demigods was confirmed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even in his childhood. Srila Narottama Das Thakur has sung in his connection, Anya Dev Shraya Nai Tomara Kahinu Bhai E Bhakti Parama Karana. To become a staunch, pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without deviation, Ananya Bhak, one should not divert his attention to the worship of the demigods. Such control is a symptom of pure devotional service. Om Jnanantimirindasya Ghananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Srila Prabhupada always reminds us of how Krishna, being the source of everyone and everything, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead that can fulfill desires of anyone, whether one is full of material desires or bereft of any desires. They should approach only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by doing so, they will have an opportunity to become purified of all material desires and ultimately become a pure devotee. Krishna, it's like the roots. We are always told, and when you're watering a plant, you always pour the water on the roots, not on the leaves or the branches. And we understand how the demigods are various agents and representatives in the material universe to help with the smooth running and operation of the material universe, but they are not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and neither can they utilize the powers that have been given to them to serve Krishna without the sanction and the will of Krishna. And Krishna himself even showed us in the pastime of lifting the Govardhan hill, and Lord Indra, who became so angry that his worship had been stopped, and he didn't understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, showed his wrath by non-stop rain for 7 days and 7 nights. And Krishna, as a little child, age 7 only, with his little pinky of his left hand, raised the entire Govardhan hill and used it as an umbrella to shelter the Vrajvasis. Of course, Lord Indra did come to his senses and offer beautiful prayers, but the point Srila Prabhupada is making is that we can always respect those that are representatives of Krishna and have been given important tasks and duties, but that does not mean that we forget that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and these are his agents that work under him. And I was reading about the Mayavadis who say that you can worship one of any 5 principal demigods, Pancho Pasha, and that you get the same result regardless of which demigod you worship, and your destination is the same. This is all Mayavad philosophy. It's not the same. Those who worship the demigods go to the abodes of the demigods, and whatever benedictions or boons that they may receive are all material. And no demigod has the power to award liberation from the material world and be this is only something that Krishna can award. Lord Krishna and his Vishnu Tattva representatives and expansions. Hare Krishna.
Apart from the philosophical points made about the demigods and the Lord and the Lord's position as the master of the demigods, on the face of it, the Lord is being really cheeky here. Here are these pious little girls sitting down on the banks of the Ganges to perform this religious ritual. And then he comes and sits in the middle of them and says, just worship me. All the people you're worshiping, they're all my servants. So just give everything to me. What is this? So arrogant, so, what's the word? Boastful, and so disruptive. So, but this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, sits in the middle of them and says, just worship me, give everything to me. And of course, he's entitled to make that request, but it comes off as incredibly cheeky. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Maharaj, the Mayavadi statement that Mataji was mentioning, what is it?
Panchopasana.
Pancho.
Upasana means worship, and panch means 5, so 5 kinds of worship.
what aspect of the Shastra are they manipulating to make that statement? It seems clear that that's not the case.
In Shastra, there's could you hear the question? Where are they getting this from, this Panchopasana? Where are they getting it from in Shastra? From what I understand, actually, they were worshiping all sorts of gods, just dozens and dozens, because these things are there in the Vedic literature. We're hearing in Bhagavatam also, if you want this, worship this deity. If you want that, worship that god. If you want this, worship another god. So they were worshiping so many. And from what I understand, it was Shankaracharya who trimmed it down and said, just these five. Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Ganesh, and Surya. So just keep it at that. But then the misunderstanding is that these are all representatives of some higher impersonal absolute, and it therefore doesn't matter which one you worship. So we were hearing the other day how they, in Bhagavatam, how they pick some phrase, some word, and they'll amplify that and try to push their doctrine on that basis. So there are hymns worshiping different deities. There are recommendations for worshiping different deities for those in the modes of passion and ignorance. These recommendations are there. Okay.
Maharaji, I have a question. In the Pushti Mark Sampradaya, the strict Vaishnavas there, they will never accept prasadam or bhoga that's been offered to any demigod. And I was wondering whether that's true for all the Sampradayas.
Yeah, I know that now is it the Ramanuja Sampradaya, they won't even enter the temple of the demigods. It's either Ramanuja or Madhva Sampradaya. They won't even enter the temple because they don't want to be unfaithful to Lord Narayan. But we see in the description of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's South Indian tour that he visited so many different temples, Lord Shiva's temples, Devi's temples, Kanyakumari. So the Lord did it, seeing them as representatives of Krishna. So at least one may visit these temples, and there are maybe different opinions about what one should do. Should one accept prasadam of those deities or not? Generally, the devotees stick to Vishnu prasadam, Krishna prasadam.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Naveen Prabhuji, would you like to read text 51?
Yes, Mataji. Apani Chandana Pariparena Pula Mala Naivedya Kadya Kana Sandesha Chala Kala. Translation. Without the permission of the girls, the Lord would take the sandalwood pulp and smear it on his own body, put the flower garlands on his neck, and snatch and eat all the offerings of sweetmeats, rice, and bananas. Purport. According to the system of worship, when something is offered to deities outside one's home, it is generally not cooked food, but raw rice, bananas, and sweetmeats. Out of his causeless mercy, the Lord would snatch the offerings from the girls and eat them, admonishing the girls not to worship the demigods, but to worship him. This worship of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Varnam, Visha Krishnam, Sangopangashtra, Parsadam, Yajnai, Sankirtan Prayar, Janti Hi Sumade Sa. One should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears in this age of Kali with his associates as the Panchatattva, the Lord himself and his associates, Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Advaita Prabhu, Sri Gadadhar Prabhu, and Sri Vas Thakur. In this age, an intelligent person worships the Panchatattva by the method of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and, if possible, distributing prasadam. Our Krishna consciousness movement is introducing this bona fide method of worship in the Western world. Its members are going from village to village and town to town with deities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, teaching people how to worship the Lord by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, offering prasadam, and distributing prasadam to people in general. I don't have comments, but if others, Maharaj, have comments.
No, it's time for our kirtan.
Maybe Panchatattva Prabhuji would like to lead Kirtan. It's been some time since we've heard from him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajakacharya Astottara Sata Shri Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajagacharya Astotara Sata Shishiman His Divine Grace. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Brinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Gangamai ki jai. Yamunamai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaura Premanande Haribol.
Thank you very much, Panchatattva Prabhu.
Thank you, Gaura Maharaj. His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Haribol.
All right, we'll see you by the by.
By the by.
Hare Krishna. I need to get. I'm the host, so I can't leave. It says to sign and leave. I don't understand why it says that.